With America in the midst of this so-called racial reckoning, untold stories are coming to light. And tonight, a look at a woman born into slavery who would go on to create a delicious recipe many Americans have likely enjoyed. Her descendants hope in our country's push to right past wrongs that there's not an overcorrection and that her legacy can live on. Our Deborah Roberts reports.
Under the grass, it's barely noticeable, an unmarked grave covering what for nearly a century was an untold story of one of America's hidden figures.
I mean, who else has experienced slavery and then walked through all of the experiences of America? I mean, Jim Crow, segregation, lynchings.
You've probably never heard her name, but Nancy Green has likely been in your kitchen.
When my mom would prepare pancakes, that was just part of the whole experience of being in the household, is that you sat there and waited for the pancakes to be prepared so that you could get them, hot off the griddle.
Right there on your pancake box.
As a kid, my mother always made those.
Everybody ate those pancakes.
Aunt Jemima pancakes without
her face on the box was probably the one way that households were integrated.
Add some butter and syrup. You'll like 'em. Aunt Jemima. Perfect pancakes in 10 shakes.
The Aunt Jemima recipe, created by Nancy Green, and with it, the birth of the American pancake. Long before she pioneered that famous mix, Nancy Green was born into slavery in Montgomery County, Kentucky.
She was taken away from, she's not with her family, but she is learning to survive and use her God-given talent to still push forward and move forward, which is the story of most African-American people in the United States, that they use what they had to become what they were.
After the Civil War, Green moved to a divided Chicago, becoming a strong voice at Olivet Baptist Church, the oldest black congregation.
This church was noted for its work to shield those who had escaped slavery, who arrived here in Chicago, because there were many slave catchers in Chicago still pursuing people who were of African descent.
Sherry Williams lives in Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood and has been shining a light on Nancy Green's story for more than a decade.
Most people have no idea who Nancy Green was. Why is that, do you think?
I believe because she is looked upon as a character, as opposed to a living, breathing individual.
Even connecting the dots for one of her descendants.
She actually opened up a box that we couldn't open.
Literally opened a box.
Marcus Hayes only recently learned about his family's past.
When I found out about it, to be honest, I was shocked and excited at the same time. Living in the United States, some African Americans, as you may know, it is hard for them to go that far back to get who they're connected to.
A history forged through a recipe Nancy Green first whipped up for the family she cooked and cared for.
It was so good that the boys would now tell everyone, hey, I have a caretaker who cooks for us, and she makes this amazing recipe, and she calls them flapjacks. And the milling company heard about it and knew that she was using their meal. They came and sought her out.
Just like that, Aunt Jemima was born. The big debut, the World's Fair at Chicago's Jackson Park back in 1893. Green selling 50,000 boxes of the now famous pancake mix.
She was the trusted face back then. Anybody who would look at an African-American woman cooking, they knew that they can trust her cooking.
And over all those years, ads for Aunt Jemima never mentioning Nancy Green.
She was a businesswoman. She created her own agency through what she did well as a storyteller, as a cook, as a nurse.
After Green died in 1923, other women became the living Aunt Jemima symbols, ambassadors hired by Quaker Oats to continue the legacy.
My great aunt, Lillian, she went to Dallas, Texas. She was discovered by Quaker Oats to be their spokesperson.
Vera Harris always heard the stories about Aunt Lillian and how she helped portray Aunt Jemima for decades.
When Quaker Oats would bring her back to Hawkins, Texas, that everybody would be real excited.
Aunt Lillian putting her small Texas community on the map.
Hawkins is the
pancake capital of Texas. Is that right?
Yes, it was declared the pancake capital of Texas because of my Aunt Lillian.
And unlike Nancy Green, Lillian Richard with her own headstone and a plaque in Hawkins, a pancake breakfast every year too, educating others about the faces and names behind the Aunt Jemima brand and image.
I believe that some people may have thought that those faces were not real.
Real faces, real stories. Vera Harris and Marcus Hayes say they're now in danger of being erased. In June, PepsiCo, Quaker Oats' parent company, announced the Aunt Jemima brand would be phased out by the end of September.
When you learned that the Aunt Jemima face on this box, on the syrup, is likely to be phased out, what was your reaction?
I was taken aback. I was really shocked because I knew people didn't realize that those were real people. And, to phase them out would kind of erase their history.
She's just not a character. That I really want her legacy to be told, that this is a real person and this is her recipe. And she fed the world from her flapjacks.
There are people who are concerned right now about images, antiquated images, these minstrel images, which is why PepsiCo is thinking maybe it's time for that image to go. What's your feeling about that?
In no time ever have I heard anyone in my community say that this image was one that was derogatory. So I don't know where that sentiment is coming from.
In a statement to ABC News, Pepsi saying, "This is a sensitive matter that must be handled thoughtfully and with care. We respect the women who have contributed to our brand story and will approach our rebranding with their heritage in mind." The company committing $400 million to various causes to help with diversity, but so far, no direct contact with these two families.
Does PepsiCo owe anything to the descendants of these women?
I really think they do.
Pepsi not yet announcing the future of the longtime brand.
For so long it was called Aunt Jemima Pancakes. What should it be called then? Aunt Green's Pancakes?
You know what? We don't know what it could be called long as she is somewhere in the mix. Call it Nancy Green. It's not about money. This is about the truth.
A truth and a story now being told no matter what happens with the brand.
Nancy, you're a storyteller, and now your story is being told again.
After a decade-long push, just this month, Sherry finally raised the money to give this trailblazer a proper headstone and marker she's long deserved. Headstone artist Mark Hunt not even aware of Nancy Green's past.
It's been an inspiration to me, and it's been an eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like myself didn't know what she did.
Carefully etching a face that will now be preserved for generations.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Oh my God. Phenomenal.
Sherry getting her first look at the headstone she's fought so hard for.
I love it. Look at the details.
After lying beneath this grass in anonymity for nearly a century, a moment of hope in the middle of America's racial reckoning.
I'm pretty sure she's smiling down because it's so many people like my Aunt Lillian and others that contribute in to make this country great, and people just didn't know. But if you get that story out, it will encourage other young women, black and white, to go out and do some great things.
And a recognition of the difficult work that lies ahead.
Let's fight for what we know to be right. Let's fight for a change. It is motivation to keep pushing. Although we may not be facing the things that she faced, we still have our own oppressions, if you will, our own challenges. And I think for me, it gives me the courage, it gives me the motivation to push forward and make sure that you do something great in this world, that you leave a mark, that people know about you.
Deborah Roberts, ABC News.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.